First, thank you everyone for coming to our Civic Leadership Forum. This is a nice Civic Leadership Forum since last year. And also thank you the speakers for coming. And I think like we do in the past, because this is 2018, this New Year. And I first like to have our new chair, Marsha, to come out, speak a few welcome words, and introduce the forum.
Thank you, Andy. Good evening, everyone. I'm Marsha Calanco. As Andy introduced me, I'm the new chairperson of the board. It is my pleasure today to welcome all of you, the speakers, the people who are attending. Wow, we have such a big turnout because everybody would like to learn something from the speakers. Our organization has been around for 18 years, and the Tri-Valley chapter, one of the 25 chapter of the nationally. Our chapter is really doing very well, only 4 years old. But we have so many programs, our signature program, internship program in the summer, and we have Lunar New Year, 3, not only 1, but 3 events, thanks to some of our board members who are so passionate about it. And we have also candidate forum, we have this civic leadership forum. We have many programs during the year, and we would love to have you come and really participate and enjoy yourself and get to know us and get to know our members. So today, we really have our new board or existing board with new members here supporting this event. As you know, this is January, the new year, new energy, and we wish everyone a very, very, I would say, a powerful year, and all your wishes come true. This is so traditional Chinese, right? Everybody get what they want. So I would like to introduce our board. I'm Marsha Calanco, and I'm the chairperson, and with me Andy Lee, he's the vice chair and the past president, and Margaret is our president. Yay! And then we have our treasurer, Lily. Say hi. Of course, Lily would love to, in the future, talk about how to create fundraising for our organization and for our chapter, and especially in coordination with the internship chair, Douglas. Douglas is our new internship chair. Our secretary is Tiffany. So Tiffany is also the co-founder of the Toastmaster. The Tri-Valley chapter Toastmaster, and she spearheaded that. And then Lily became the second president, and now I'm kind of filling some of the big shoes with the Toastmaster Club. But just to let the members know, this is open to everyone. If you are interested, talk to Tiffany and Lily. So also with our board, Nancy Chen is our past treasurer, and also the Youth Leadership Committee Chair. She really nurture our young, our youth, and really have them be trained as leaders. There's so many volunteer hours that goes with the training. And then we also have our, so this is just when I see our board member, I will ask you to get up. So we have two new members, Nolan Chan. Say hi. very enthusiastic new board member, the lady in orange. She actually organized this January 13th and January 20th, and I don't know how many more Lunar New Year celebration, but definitely this is the lady. So thank you. So we also have Robert, who is Robert Scott.
Hi.
Scott Robert, sorry. So you can kind of interchange, right? New board member, and another not so new, Chipman, stand up and to be acknowledged. Yeah, so this is our board, and we have a number of volunteers here tonight, and also a lot of our members. But we welcome all of you to be here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marsha. And for this event, like you see, the flyer is sponsored by CLF, Civic Leadership Forum. Also, they are the co-hosts, and also the 1820. We have the 1820 board, George Young here.
Hi, everybody.
And also, we have a special guest, Kathy Narrow, is the President City Council. Thank you for coming. Let me give everyone a little bit background of the Civic Leadership Program. We started last year, and this is the nice program we have, and we'll continue to have this Civic Leadership Program, try to educate people to learn the whole system, and not only the one like a well-known like City Council, school board, also there's some special district and some like PTAs or point position. Just hope more people by learning this can join this group and participate and get appointed in the future, get elected. I know quite a few people here who will run or try to get elected this year. So I wish all of you good luck. So without further ado, our first speaker today is, she is a board member from the San Francisco Bay Area Rapid Transit or the BART Special District. She has 25 years of construction industry, financial management experience in many roles. In 2011, Contra Costa County supervisors appointed her to serve as a pension board trustee on the Contra Costa County Employee Retirement System. She knows a lot of the pension system. We may invite her back to talk about the pension and the issue there. She works so hard to ensure the sustainability of public employee pension plans for future generations, which is very, very important. In 2016, she was elected as the director on the board of the BART. And I would like her to talk about the issue she worked on during the last year, 2017. So let's welcome BART board member, Deborah Allen.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here with you all, and I'm so excited to see such a large group all interested in civic leadership. I thought I would just start by asking you, how many of you are regular daily BART riders? Anyone ride BART anymore? 1, 2, 3, about 3 people. Okay, how many of you actually ride BART occasionally, once in a while? Most people. Okay. How many of you knew before tonight that you have an elected representative, elected by the voters, to represent your interests in BART? Only a few of you. So the BART elected position occurred on in my district, in Contra Costa County. It was the very last elected position on the ballot, on the back page, and I was all by myself on the back page. So Andy was kind enough to give you some background on me. I was elected in November of 16. just finished my first year at BART. And I won that seat in November of 2016 from a 12-year incumbent who was running for re-election. And I won that seat by 65% of the vote. And I think that the reason I start with that is because it was a bold statement. The outcome of that election was a bold statement that the people wanted change at BART. And that's what civic leadership is all about. It's about stepping up and looking at our civic agencies, our local government agencies, and saying, how can we make them better? And that was the campaign that I run, and it actually was very successful. Just a little bit about the BART board itself. A couple of little facts and figures. I'm a numbers person, so I throw a lot of numbers out. BART currently has 46 stations. We have 4 more that will open in 2018, I hope. We have 669 train cars running, and we are in the process of expanding that soon. We run 109 miles of track, and we have 47,000 parking places. It's a big organization. We run a $2 billion per year budget and 4,000 employees throughout the Bay Area. So I'm one of a 9-member board elected. We're all elected in a district, so we all have a boundary, and I have about 140,000 voters, 240,000 constituents in my district. And the districts, the elected officials on the 9-member board are from 3 counties: Alameda, Contra Costa, and San Francisco. I found that after the election, I thought I was running for BART board, and what I found was that I was running for so much more. I am also, by virtue of being a BART board member, I am also a member of the Capital Corridor Board, the train that runs from San Jose to Roseville. I am also a member of the Contra Costa Transportation Authority Board, and I'm also a member of a leasing authority board, but I also get pulled into a lot of community issues throughout Contra Costa County, and now even in Alameda County too, with the issue of the extension of BART into Livermore. So I am spending a lot of time in Livermore with that issue, and now spending time on homeless issues. Homelessness is a big issue for BART. I am spending time on housing, drug addiction, and even real estate planning and development. So I have a little list here. I'm just going to go through the what does the BART board govern? What do we do as a BART director? And it is considered a part-time position. And I'm going to throw this out because I think it's important for any of you that are thinking about running for local office. It pays you virtually nothing. You do it out of the goodness of your heart as a volunteer, and you do it for your community. At BART, we are paid $1,500 a month. And this position so far, for the first year, I spend between 20 and 30 hours a week on BART issues. So it is a hard thing to do. Some of the positions are easier, but this one is a hard one for a person who has a full-time job. What do we govern? We have a police department of 250 employees. We have external and governmental affairs and a PR department of 15 or 20 people. We have a large and growing very quickly planning, development, and construction department. That's where my construction industry expertise comes in. I'm always telling them they're doing it wrong. They have a infrastructure replacement program backlog of $17 billion of construction that will be performed over the next 15 years. We have to keep the trains running on time. That's our primary purpose, is to serve transit. And we have a complicated funding structure. BART only receives about 30% of its funding from the riders. Many people don't know that, but 70% of the funding of BART actually comes from the taxpayers. And then we are always worried about expansion of service. We're currently working to expand. Livermore is under consideration, and then beyond. As I said, we have 4 stations opening this year, 2 of them out in East County, one in Pittsburgh, one in Antioch, and then 2 of them expanding into Santa Clara County for Berryessa and Milpitas. So we face a number of challenges at BART, and this is, when I went to go run for office in November of 16, I was planning this in July, and I looked at a lot of positions. I looked at water and school board and city. Not in a city, I couldn't run for city council, but I looked at county-wide positions. And then there were a number of these special districts. There's a community college board. There is BART and water district, central sanitary district, and so forth. Of all the districts, I looked at where I felt I could make the most impact. So with a pension background and a construction background and a finance background, I looked at BART and I said, $1 billion of unfunded pension and OPEB liabilities, $3.5 billion of bond measure RR money coming in for construction projects. And I have a financial background with an agency that was running, when I entered the door, $30 million a year deficit projections. And I thought, this is the place for me, because this is where there's a challenge where I feel like I can actually contribute my skills and my background to. So that's just kind of a brief picture of what we face. We're doing a lot of projects right now. We're doing noise reduction projects, El Cerrito renovation. I mentioned the extensions. We deal with energy policy. We are the 5th largest consumer of energy in the state of California. So we have a whole group of people that do nothing but figure out how to keep our energy supply running and keep that price as low as possible. We are currently working into autonomous vehicles. BART is participating in the efforts on that. And we actually participate in a lot of development now with a strong program for development around transit-oriented development around our BART stations. So that's going to be a focus of the future. So that's a little bit about BART. I think we're going to do Q&A at the end. But if any of you are interested in running for office, I do counsel people as well as I think Vicki does and others do. And I'm happy to talk to you afterward and relate to you more about the actual experience of running.
Thank you, Deborah. You're here not only for the good food, I know the food is good, but also, make sure you get a business card from them so that you get connected with them in the future, if you are interested. Not only get elected, maybe get appointed, there's different committee, even at BART and some community college and water district, there are some appointed position. Try to get involved. That's appointed position may be easy to start with. Get involved and know those people, know the system, learn from it, and then when the opportunities come, go out, get elected. So our next speaker will be the Contra Costa County Community College Board. Before I introduce her, I would like to ask how many community colleges do we have in Contra Costa County? Anyone knows? Besides Vicky.
10.
I think we have 3 colleges with 5 campuses. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's Diablo Valley Community College alumnus and also graduated from CSU East Bay. She taught in both the Pittsburgh Unified School District and Martinez Unified School District. And she was elected as Martinez Unified School District in 1997 and served there for 15 years. In 2012, she was elected as Contra Costa County Community College Board and was selected as the president twice between 2015 and 2017. And her family has a long history of tradition in education. Her father-in-law actually was one of the founding members of the Contra Costa County Community College. And her mom was a teacher and a minister in Martinez Unified School District for 30 years. That's very long. Also, even her husband developed and taught the courses in UC Berkeley Extension System. So without further ado, let's welcome VP Gordon, the Contra Costa County Community College Board.
Thank you all very much it's a great honor to be here, and I have to tell you, we have done speaking engagements before, and I don't think we have had such a yummy, delicious meal offered to us beforehand. It is a real treat, and we thank you all very much for that. As Andy said, I think when I asked him what he wanted, he said that you had actually had someone come to talk to you about the community colleges themselves, CVC and the San Ramon campus. So Andy said, I said, well, Andy, why do you want me then? He says, well, this is a civic engagement part. We want to know about your election. We want to know about campaigning. We want to know about your role. What do you really do as a board member? So there are two big things when you are considered to be an elected official. Your first one is running a campaign, and it's not easy. One of the things you need to do is fundraising and find a good treasurer, because there will be lots of reports that you will have to turn into the state of California to make sure that you're doing everything legally. So up here again, as you can see, is my Vicki Gordon for College Board signs. Signs are a big deal when you run for any kind of office, and I'm hoping I'm pushing this right. And the next slide, there it is. These are your elected officials for here in Contra Costa County for the Community College Board. And right now, you can see I'm in the pink area, and I come down to the Tri-Valley, but I split a lot of it with my fellow trustee, Gary Walker Roberts. That area, this November, he is not running for a seat. So that area, which includes down here, is available or open for anyone to run a campaign and be elected. So, and up above you'll see that there's another board member and his ward, and Greg Enholm, another fellow board member and his ward, Trustee Farley, and then out in West County, he's got the smallest one of all, but it's the highest concentration of people. That's John Marquez. We each have about 220,000 constituents. Down below you'll see our student trustee. The three colleges alternate, and they elect a trustee that's a student to come sit on our board and help us to deal with our decisions that we make. So what does it look like? Who's the boss of whom? You know, how does this work? Well, yes, yeah, exactly. So our constituents and our voters, your voices, we represent you. So you are our bosses. You then elect your governing board, and then the governing board then presides over the chancellor of the community college. Our chancellor is Dr. Fred Wood. We just hired him last year. He's only been here for a year, but he's an amazing man, and he's happy to come out and talk to you as well over these issues that are facing our community college. And then he directly oversees our Contra Costa College, which is CCC, which is in West County, Diablo Valley College, which is up in Pleasant Hill, LMC, which is in Pittsburgh, and then our two centers, which are our Brentwood Center way out there, and then our San Ramon Center. So he's in charge of all that, and the presidents that are at those things. So roles and responsibilities for a board member. What is it that we really do? Well, one of the most important things that we do is what we did last year. We hire and we evaluate the chancellor. So last year at this time, our previous chancellor retired. So the board chair, which was me, put together a search committee and put together a national process to look for a new chancellor. We also evaluate him. So we tell him, you know, okay, we need you to do a little more over here, maybe a little more over there. And we set our goals and we say, you know, one of the things that we are hearing at the San Ramon campus is that they need more STEM classes. And right now we are addressing that. That was one of our goals. And we are going to be expanding that and trying to put more classrooms that deal with the science. What are the other things that we do? Well, we are not a legislative body. We don't set law. We have Ed Code law that comes to us. And when Ed Code law comes down to us, we do some policy setting. So, say for example, the state legislature decides that we need to do more with our veterans. And they put in a law to pass it, so that when it comes to us, then we say, okay, how do we put this into policy? How do we get it into our campuses, and how do we implement it? So that's basically what we do. We also have some other experts that help us along with the policy. And the CCLC is called the Community College League of California, and our district's best practices. And we also have a state chancellor and a state chancellor's office that helps us, just like the state superintendent's Tom Torlickson helps with the K-12 schools. We also have what you call participatory governance, which is different than K-12. Any decision we make doesn't get just made by the board or the chancellor. It goes out to all of our constituent groups in the colleges, which means our unions, our faculty, our local one classified professionals, our students. Everyone has a voice. So whenever we do something, it takes a long time before it gets everybody's stamp of approval. So that's one of the reasons why it takes a long time for change for the community college. And the last, of course, is the fiduciary responsibilities of budget and oversight, and Deborah has said. And that's one of the things that I'm really lucky that our district is so good at, because I'm not a numbers person. And then, of course, we are a liaison to our communities. But, you know, and if you do decide to run for this, then you're going to say, well, what do I have to do? What exactly do I have to do, Vicki? So here's what's expected of you as a board member. You know, we expect you to participate in the work of the board by attending all our board meetings, and also all of our policy issues, having good, deep discussions on why this policy is good, why this policy isn't good, why we need to change it, and participating in education programs. We have conferences that we attend regularly, because we also have something called accreditation. It's where the state comes in and looks at it and says, are you doing everything in your power that's the best for students? And if you're not, we're going to smack you down. And City College of San Francisco got smacked hard by accreditation, almost had it taken away, which means any of the students taking those classes there, those classes are useless because they won't transfer to other colleges. So what else do we expect? We want you to know your communities. That's why I'm here tonight. That's why I'm reaching out. We need to hear more from this community. We also like your commitment to community colleges, your missions. All of the economic and policy situations are up there. And you also have to remember that you have to balance the many needs of the many diverse groups. One of the things that can happen, I've seen many times as board members coming in, they're advocates for one specific group. And when you get up there on the board, you represent everyone. Everybody in the entire community college district, everybody in the Hall of Contra Costa, and every student that comes to our doors. So we just want you to be an effective board member and help us to function as a whole, because our board can only make decisions as a whole. Did I do it? So the big part for many people, I think there are a lot of people in this room that could have done what I said on that previous page. I look around, I see a lot of capable people. I will be honest with you. Running a campaign for the size of the boards that we have with over 220,000 constituents, it's a big deal. And so, and this is 1.1 million, but I've been told it's closer to 1.2 right now, and it's growing. And so, but you must be a registered voter in your ward. There are 5 wards. Well, I went over that already. So the cost of running a campaign can run from anywhere to $15,000 to $40,000 or higher. So it's a daunting task. This is my fundraiser that I just had in Alamo not too long ago, and at this time it's I'm going to wish anybody who would like to run for the open seat good luck, and I would be happy to give you my card and happy to talk with you a little bit more afterwards. But I think we're going to take questions a little later.
Thank you so much, Vicky. Yeah, one thing I would like to always, when I talk about community college, I would like everyone to know that community college is not only for the students from the high school. It's also for professional training, for your hobbies, anything. You can find a lot of things there, and it's very cheap. It's 46 per credit, right? So you may go there, find whatever art class there, take it, and just 3 credits or 4 credits, like $150. So it's not that much. If you go to like professional class, who knows, costs a few $100 at least. Okay. Okay. So our next speaker is from the Dublin Ceremony Service District. And he's the board. The Dublin Ceremony Service District always use that DSRSD. I think a lot of people pay the water bills through the DSRSD. He's a founder and retired CEO of Aztec Consulting. It's a ceremony-based professional construction management and general engineering construction firm. He's also the co-founder and the past program director of the CSU East Bay Construction Management Certificate Program. He serves on the Business Advisory Committee for BART. I think Deborah knows him for sure. Currently, he is on his second term on the board of director for the Dublin Ceremony Service District. And I just, when I read his resume, I just found we have a couple things in common. One thing is we both are the graduate of Leadership Ceremony Valley program, which is a very, very good program. I think we have a few graduates here and also some students here, right? It's Sridhar and Scott and Tiffany. It's this kind of students. Sridhar graduated with me the same year, 2015. So without further ado, let's welcome Edward Doherty, the Dublin Ceremony Service District Board.
Thank you, Andy. The name's Edward, but my friends call me Ed. My mother calls me Eddie. Like the two ladies before me, I also want to congratulate your association on doing what you're doing. I think promoting the education of the private citizens to how our government, how our cities, how our school district work. That's a real compliment to you about your good goals and intentions for making the community a better place to live. So, was not aware of APAPA before Andy introduced me to your association, and I'm very impressed with the turnout. So thank you for having me. I was elected to and we call it DSRSD because saying Dublin San Ramon Services District over and over gets a little lengthy. So I was elected to the board in 2012, my first time in running for any public office. I'm a general contractor, civil engineer by education and trade, retired now. My son and grandson and son-in-law are taking over the company. But I tried to be active in politics in the background, fundraising, serving on political action committees, and I was quite often complaining about DSRSD, the rates, the way they do things, and complain about BART too. And if you read the papers, watch TV, if you are an informed citizen, our government's not perfect. It's good, but it can be better. But it's not going to get better unless people like you and I get involved. So my son said, well, quit yapping about it. He says, go ahead and run. And I said, okay, I'll run. I really didn't think it was a worthwhile effort at first, and then I got more into it. And I said, yeah, I'm going to put my little posters out and raise some money to do it. I wound up getting more votes than all 3 other candidates combined. So here I am. I'm just starting my 2nd term. The district is a community services district, and we handle one of the basic commodities, the basic services that we all need. When we flush the toilet or when we turn on the fountain to get a drink of water. So when the district was formed in '53 under a different name, in the original charter they were going to do wastewater collection and treatment, water distribution, garbage, parks and recreation, fire protection, and even some transit services. Transit never got implemented, and some 60 years later now, what we do is we furnish potable and recycled water services to Dublin and the Doherty Valley area of San Ramon. We collect and treat wastewater from Dublin and south of San Ramon. We treat the wastewater for the city of Pleasanton. They're not in our district, but we have a contract with them as a separate contract. And then one of the big items that we do is we operate a water recycling plant in a partnership with East Bay Mud, which is another abbreviation for East Bay Municipal Utility District. That's our water and wastewater giant here in the Bay Area. Our board is composed of 5 people. Now, unlike the BART board, which I like the way they have it set up, but they have districts and that community, that area gets to elect a candidate. With us, it's everybody that's in the service area as treated as one geographical area. When I got elected, I was the first citizen from San Ramon in 10 years to be a member of the board. Prior to that, everybody was a Dublin resident. So, but it's important, that was the reason why I wanted to run, because I felt that the city of San Ramon needed a voice on the board. So we, like Vicki said, and like Deborah said, we appoint the officers of the board, the president and vice president, we rotate annually. We hire and oversee a general manager. And an interesting thing happened to the district as soon as I got elected. That 5 top senior positions, starting with the general manager, over the next 12 months, all retired. So they call it the Great Tsunami. So it was an interesting time for me to look at, because I fully expected that, and I say this publicly, I thought maybe nepotism would come up and we would just stay in-house and promote from within. That's not a bad thing to do in any organization, but we felt that there were a couple of good candidates to move up, but that we also needed to look outside. So fast forward to 3 years after that time, we now have a new general manager from the outside. We have a new HR director from the outside. We have a new plant operations manager from the outside. And we have a financial manager that was promoted from within. So we have new blood, and they're very competent, and through their management over the last 24 months, the district, unlike many public districts, we're in very good shape financially. Our pension liability we're at 95% funded. Now, that doesn't mean there's not room for improvement, and that also doesn't mean that, and let me sidebar for a second. The 2 ladies talked about what they have to do as a board member. One of the things that I found most difficult to deal with is the mentality. I come from, as you know, a private construction company background. The private sector, that's what I was raised in. And I'm coming into an organization that is 100% union. They are civil servants. And And there's nothing wrong with being a good civil servant, but it is a different mentality. And when you get somebody on the board like myself and a couple of the others that we're saying, why all these work rules? Why does this position get this kind of money when the same position in the private sector gets 60% of that value? Those are some of the reasons why I ran. So my little contribution, my impact, my goal in trying to be a good public servant and a good representative for my constituents and my ratepayers is that I want staff to listen to what myself and the board say when we talk about policy. We're not supposed to micromanage. We are not supposed to manage the employees. We're supposed to set policy. But setting policy can sometimes be, you can run into some inertia of the opposite direction that, well, we've always done business this way. And the two ladies know exactly what I'm talking about. I've seen some things at the district that, boy, if they had been working for me and my company, they wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes. But there's ways to deal with that. And there's ways that we as board members can do those things to be effective and make a difference. For the future, as far as DSRSD is concerned, we have some challenges that we need to keep on top of. And one is the basic one that I think everybody in this room is very well aware of, and that's the water situation in the state of California. And let me tell you, boy, I had my eyes opened when I got on this board and found out just to what extent of how convoluted and complicated and political the issue of water management is in the state of California. And that 5-year drought that we just went through a year ago, it opened a lot of people's eyes. And still there are people in Sacramento that are just blind and just absolutely, they're not listening to us. So as a district, we're doing our best to protect our ratepayers, provide you with clean drinking water, and have plenty of recycled water. I didn't know this until I got on the board. Did you know that 55% of the water usage of any community is usually landscape and irrigation? If you take a 20-minute shower, you shouldn't waste water that way, but that's not the big water waster. It's irrigation, landscaping. So recycled water can be used to provide that need. And recycled water is one thing that we are really into big with East Bay Mud and at DSRSD. We're also in partnership with the San Ramon Valley Recycled Water Program that I talked about a little earlier. We get our water. DSRSD is a retailer. In other words, we buy our water first from a wholesaler. The wholesaler is Zone 7. Zone 7 is headquartered in Livermore, and they are a state water contractor, and they buy the water from the California Water Project, which the California Aqueduct is a big carrier of that. But our water comes from Lake Oroville, in Oroville Dam, the one that was collapsing. So our rates are 90%. It's a fixed deal. We have a fixed operational cost because we have 120 employees, and we have a water treatment plant, a wastewater treatment plant, 7 pumping stations, 6 reservoirs, and those costs, our PG&E costs, our maintenance costs, our facility costs, those are pretty much fixed. And then with Zone 7 selling us the water at a fixed rate, there's not much wiggle room to give our ratepayer a break, because We literally just have to pass that along. So what's the answer? The answer is that we as DSRSD, we need to keep our operating costs, our personnel costs, and our management administrative costs. We have to keep them as efficiently low as possible without harming the quality of the water delivery. Tied to that, we do a long-range forecast for our CIP, capital improvement project planning. We are now in the middle of about $21 million worth of new construction projects out at the wastewater treatment plant there in Pleasanton. And when we have finished those two plants, we will increase our efficiency, reduce our energy costs, and increase our capacity to treat wastewater and convert it into recycled water. So those are some of the things that we've got going on at DSRSD. Again, to echo what Vicki and Deborah have said, I would encourage members of your association and all of you citizens to get involved. We are getting ready to start a brand new, like a miniature leadership San Ramon, and it's called the name is escaping me here. That's what happens when you get over 70. You forget things. It's a 3-session course on 3 different weeks for 3 hours, 9 hours of instruction, and it's a capsule little seminar on our financial management, our wastewater operation, our recycling water. There's a tour of the plant involved. So it's coming up in March, and I would encourage all of you to just go to the DSRSD website. And you'll find out the details on that, and I would encourage you to come by and find out what happens when you flush the toilet. So thank you for having me, and I know we'll have Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you. I think all 3 speakers gave us a very informational education, and so let's give them another round of applause and thank them for the speech. So next we are open for the questions, so anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
Oh, I have a question for Eddie. Well, I live in the Sacramento River Delta, and the tunnel is a big issue in the Delta. So I would like to hear what is your opinion on the tunnel project?
I knew that was going to come up. Yes, the California, they call it the California Water Fix, the twin tunnels. Well, at DSRSD, they encourage us to be outspoken. Personally, I am not in favor of that fix as a solution. A couple of the reasons: I don't think it addresses the total, it doesn't fix the water supply that we're going to be getting here in terms of cost. And I also think that the state of California has a long history of underestimating the cost of anything. And yes, and I, as a contractor, I can guarantee you that thing is going to cost more than what they say it's going to cost. But there are PhDs and Master of Science engineers up in Sacramento that say it's the best and only thing. I would urge you to look it up on Google, go to those sites. There's all kinds of information on it. Read all you can about it. I vote against it, but that's me.
Thank you, Ed. Anyone else? Okay, Nolan?
Question for Deborah. How often or where does your art directors meet, and are your meetings open to the public?
I think I can answer. It must be open to the public, right?
Yeah, so all of our boards are public boards. The meetings are always public meetings that occur under the Brown Act. For BART, we meet 2 We have 2 board meetings per month, regularly scheduled. Sometimes we are called into special meetings, but our meetings start at 9 a.m. and they can end, I think the earliest one that we've ever had ended at like 12 or 12:30, so that's 3.5 hours. But more typically, our board meetings typically go the whole day, and we get out somewhere between 3:30 and 6 p.m. depending on what we do.
Where do you meet?
We meet in Oakland, 19th Street, Oakland Station, and those meetings are the 2nd and 4th Thursdays of every month. Yeah. And members of the public are welcome to come. The way those are structured is at the beginning of the meeting and at the beginning of each particular issue, and at the end of the meeting, the public is welcome to submit a comment card, and they can comment at any point in that meeting on any issue.
Thank you, Deborah. So before the next, I want to ask the people here, and since Deborah mentioned the Brown Act, who knows Brown Act? Raise your hand. Just a few. Okay. I think we'll have a future session to invite District Attorney to talk about Brown Act. So who's next? Okay, George.
My question is for both Ms. Gordon and also Deborah on about, are there any kind of advisory boards right now in your district that are looking for candidates to apply? Because there might be some people here that might be interested in some of those boards and, advisory boards to participate.
I think we can answer this question as well.
We have some openings for a foster youth task force, as well as a former youth incarcerated task force also, but the positions have just been filled, so at this time there are no openings. We just filled those, but it's a good question.
Yes, so BART has a lot of community boards, appointed boards, and I'm glad you asked that question because I meant to mention this. Actually, I work with people a lot who want to get appointed to boards, and I'm happy to work with any of you on that process. And as I said before as well, if you decide to run for local office, I'm happy to have meetings with you and just sort of explain to you, the process and help you along. I've mentored a lot of people in this. Recently, I just had a friend, Sanat Sethi, appointed to the Economic Development Council as a alternate just a couple of days ago here in San Ramon. So it is a great way to start. It's how I started on the pension board. Vicky's husband also serves on the pension board. But at BART in particular, we have a number of different voluntary boards, appointed boards. One of my first things that I got the pleasure of appointing when I was, after I was elected, was I have an appointment to the BART Police Department's Citizens Review Board. This is a citizen board that oversees what the police department does. And I had the pleasure of appointing my friend Ken Liu to that position. And he's doing a fantastic job there. But we have a Business Advisory Council, as Ed mentioned. We have disabled committees, we have bicycle committees, we have, I think, 11 or 12 different things. I don't know of any open positions right now, but if you're interested in those things, I'm happy to take your names and numbers and inquire and find out, and then maybe you end up just as an alternate, and when somebody rolls off. There are people rolling off of these things all the time.
Yeah, as Deborah said, I happen to be on the Business Advisory Council representing Associated Builders and Contractors. And that council was formed because of the recent bond issue and the amount of money that's going to be spent on construction contracts. And BART has a serious commitment to getting more minority and women-owned construction companies and engineering companies involved in the program. So that council, we have openings for anybody who would like to serve, but they prefer that two things. Number one, that you represent an association. So with the APAPA, you have the vehicle already. but we would prefer to have somebody with a business/construction or engineering background so that you can provide meaningful input to BART staff.
Yeah, talking about that, there's a appointed position at the city, school board, county, special district. Some may be required to be the resident to be a specific area, and some may require a specific profession or career. But there are many opportunities. So I want to ask people here, whoever is either currently or has ever been in the appointed position before, raise your hand. There should be more. Come on, raise your hand. No, just a few?
Like a PTA.
Okay, PTA, okay. So we need more people to get involved. Start with appointed, like they said, some of the appointed positions are kind of easy to get in, get there, learn the system, know the people, and then move up to a different, some other appointed positions are hard to get appointed, and then come out, get appointed, get elected. Next question?
So Ed, I have a question. Sure. So we moved from Castro Valley to Pleasanton. So apparently the water is very different. So do you think the Pleasanton could have East Bay mud water, which tastes a lot better? We lived there so many years. Yeah, I know. So it's impossible to get the East Bay mud water.
Change the supply.
No.
I don't think so.
Contract is how long does it last?
Yeah,
Forever?
East Bay Mud has served Pleasanton for a long time, Castro Valley for a long time.
Yeah, we live 17.
No, under the current contracts, which extend clear into 2020 something, I don't see any changes coming about. San Ramon is in a very unusual situation. I live just 5 minutes from here in what is called South San Ramon, right down to Acosta Boulevard. My sewage service is from DSRSD. My drinking water is from East Bay Mud. And I'm glad it's their taste is better than our taste.
Yeah, in our 2 cents, still don't drink the water in Pleasant, so we still buy water.
It's what we get from Zone 7.
Yeah.
Is it the same as for San Francisco water? Because I used to live in San Francisco for a couple of years. Water there, mountain spring water.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Comes from Yosemite.
I went to San Jose and Pleasanton, and the water is different.
So Eddie, in
Yes.
your district, you mentioned that the water supply is from a vendor in Livermore. So how much percentage is from service water and how much in groundwater? Do you have any idea? And also,
Yes.
do you also have some, how much percentage the supply is from East Bay Mud? And then how much percentage from the vendor in Livermore?
Well, DSRSD buys we don't get any drinking water from East Bay Mud. We get it from all from Zone 7. But I have those figures here. We get 80% of our potable water comes from the State Water Project through Zone 7. So that limits the amount of blending that we can do with our groundwater, our wells. And we only have a few wells. The quality of the water that comes out of the forebay there, the Clifton forebay, and the water project into Zone 7, it's treated to the best, to where it meets standards, but it could be better in taste. But there's bacteria and natural nutrients that are already in that water project as it comes all the way from Oroville, that they just can't. Zone 7 is limited in what they're treating. They're putting in a brand new ozone treatment plant up above near Lake Del Valle. When that's finished, they're anticipating that the quality of the water, drinking water for Livermore and Pleasanton is going to be much better, and Doherty Valley. But right now it's just it's what it is.
And how much from the East Bay Mud?
We don't get any. No, we don't. We contract with East Bay Mud for wastewater treatment for our recycling water, but for potable water, no, nothing with East Bay Mud.
And if you purchase from Eastern Mud, can you like say you negotiate with Eastern Mud because they need to extend the pipeline through the 680. So if you can contract to the Eastern Mud get the water from them cheaper or compared to
Well, we could. I mean, I don't know what the future holds in those kind of negotiations. But right now, see, we had a 25-year contract with Zone 7. That's not up until 2023, I believe. So until that point in time, we are locked into a sole source that we have no control. We can't break that contract. We are, though, planning to expand. We cannot continue to depend on 80% of our water from the State Water Project and Zone 7 alone. That's just not going to work anymore. So that's why I didn't mention this, but there's a very interesting subject that you all are going to hear more and more about, and that's called indirect potable reuse. And that is exactly what you think. It's taking wastewater and treating it and treating it and treating it and injecting it into the groundwater and blending it and bringing it back up and drinking it.
After it's treated again.
Yeah. And they're doing that. They're doing that in Orange County. They're doing that all over America. But here in the Bay Area, we tend to be a little finicky. And the term toilet to tap doesn't ring well. It's a political minefield. But I'm here to tell you that it is the wave of the future because we have so many people and we have limited resources on the supply of water. So something has to be done. Desalinization is the next big thing. As soon as technology can get that cost down to where it is actually viable, converting seawater to drinking water is the next big thing.
Okay, thanks. Marshall, you have a question?
Oh, yes. So I have a couple of questions about BAT. Might not be too polite, but really,
I'm used to it.
it is about the cleanliness, getting germs of people, coughing and sneezing. I have friends, Facebook friends who posted just 2 days ago, got the ice, somebody has the iced coffee, which should not be in BAT, but it got into the train and poured all over her. So it's almost become a riot, but then she just had to let it go. But the real question is, what stopped me from taking bath at night, especially is the fear of the wave of teenagers that came into the train and harassing us. So what is BAT's policy or anything? That's scary. That's scary.
So that's a common question, and as a director, my email address, which is also on my cards that I will leave for you, is on our website. And as I said before, I have 240-some thousand constituents, and many of them, there's probably 10% of them at least, are BART riders. And I hear these stories all the time. There are a couple of components to what you just said. There's no easy answer. I believe the start to the answer is the elimination, or at least doing something to start to eliminate the fare evasion. Okay. What we're really talking about is bad human behavior on the train. Okay. I lump all of these things into one category, one bad human behavior. It is the eating, the drinking, smoking, even people doing drugs on the trains. It is the purse snatchings, the cell phone snatchings. There really isn't a lot of violent crime on BART, but there is a lot of crime, and it's mostly theft. Occasionally you will hear about someone being accosted, but if you look at the numbers of people that are riding on BART, 420,000 people a day per weekday, really the amount of violent crime on BART is pretty low. But riding in the transit system, you are riding with people. Just like when you walk down the street in San Francisco, you are walking down the street with people. And BART has no way of controlling what people do. It is human behavior. They do have the ability to provide police protection, okay? So then the question becomes, and this is debated often among my fellow board directors, because we come from all different parts of the district, the urban and the suburban, and the question that is debated is how much police protection should there be, okay? Do you want an officer on every train? There are a lot of people who will argue, no, that is not what they want. And so you have to understand that BART, 46 stations, soon to be 50 stations, covers a whole lot of different cultures throughout the Bay Area. Different socioeconomic levels and different cultures, and people live, it is a known statistic that the crime rate around any station is very similar to the crime rate inside of that station and the trains that go through that part of any area. So we're not immune on BART, we're not immune to people and their human behavior. And there's bad behavior everywhere. So one of the problems that is known is we do not have enough police officers. Will we ever get to the point of having one police officer in every station? I don't think so, because I don't think that the budget will ever support that. And you have to understand that one police officer on average costs about $200,000 a year after their benefits and their pensions and their salary and all of that. So to add 5 police officers, that's $1 million. So we are short police officers now, so it is really low on the level of police officers, but every city in the Bay Area is fighting to hire people in law enforcement. No, young people are not going into law enforcement in the Bay Area. Actually, I think it's probably a California-wide problem. So we're fighting to get more police officers. I would love to see us, if we're going to put attendants in place that are not sworn officers, I would like to see a person, a BART staff person, at every fare gate bank controlling the fare evasion. Because a lot of the bad behavior that comes in, the homelessness and all of the theft and all of that, those people don't pay to get in the gates.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have one question. Continue with what you said. Because just like you said, there are problems, it only happens in certain spots.
Yes.
It's not throughout the
Certain
whole BART
stations.
stations. We only probably just need like 5 stations, pay attention to that, and then give more police officer force in those stations.
Yes. And that is the
That
current.
is more like feasible to happen.
That is the current structure. There are far more police officers in the downtown San Francisco stations and in the Fruitvale to Berkeley stations. Far more police presence in those stations. My line, my particular district covers 4 stations. It's Lafayette, Walnut Creek, Pleasant Hill, and downtown Concord. and you're really going to be surprised at this, but for the entire C line, we call that the C line, the Concord line, okay, from Rock Ridge all the way to the end at Bay Point, there are only 3 police officers on duty all the time in 3 shifts. Okay, and if one's sick, there's only 2. and sometimes they get called to go assist in other areas. We're down 35 police officers on our staff that budgeted positions that are not filled. And that's what we're really trying to focus on right now, is just fill those positions that are budgeted. And then, once we get close to that, my plan is I'll be going in and asking for another 40 police officers to be budgeted. That's my plan.
Okay, you're popular.
We could do a whole night on Mark, by the way. I told Andy this.
Okay, I think maybe anyone have a question for Vicky with community college? Okay, Trini, go ahead.
Hi, Vicky. Could you give us some idea about the vertical relationship, like the community college with the state, the Department of Education, and the trustees of the community colleges, and then also the federal Department of Education?
Well, that's a great question. For us, for the community college level, above us is called the California Community College League of California, CCLC, and our state chancellor is Eloy. I should know this. Eloy White, I think, is our chancellor. And their role is much like the state superintendents with K-12. And they will help us look at all of the new laws that are passed by the legislature, help us decide the policy. They hold the conferences. They will also help us deal with some of the financial situations that we are charged with. The one thing that the federal government has very little to do with California higher ed. The one thing that they do have control over are some of the federal aid and grants that go to our students. So if they don't like the fact that we're a sanctuary city, or sanctuary community college district, they can then withhold funding for our students that the federal government grants and aids and that stuff. But as far as what they give to the community college directly, they don't give us very much. So we have decided that in our community college, we were one of the first. We did it last January 11th, so about a year ago. Our students came to us and they said, we're afraid. This is very scary for us, and we don't feel safe. So we went back to our community, back to our colleges, back to our students, and we said, what is it that you need us to do that will make you feel safe here for all of our students? And we put a resolution together that called us, our whole campuses are all safe campuses. Safe from bullying, safe from, and one of the things you need to know about community colleges is that we do have a police force. We have our own police force, but we have no detention centers. So we have to call in Pittsburgh, we call in the Pittsburgh police officers. But we ourselves do not turn over or detain anybody on immigration status or any other. The only thing we do is if they have broken the law, and we will hold on to them, and then we hand them over to, in Pittsburgh, we'll hand them over to the Pittsburgh police. In Pleasant Hill, we hand them over to the Pleasant Hill police. And in West Contra Costa, we turn them over to, I believe, El Sobrani police, or Richmond police, it's one or the other. So, for us, we're very independent from the federal government, which is kind of nice in a way. But the state holds all of our strings. They're a budget. They decide how much we get a year. They decide our fees. Our fees are not decided by our board. Our fees that we charge per unit were decided by the state. So that's how that works.
Because there's a lot of transferring from the community college to the UC system and the UC state system. And then your constituents have a lot of Asian Americans. And then there's an admission policy in the UC system. And then, so what's your perspective?
So how do we're working on that. Our chancellor, our state chancellor is really working on that. We right now, Diablo Valley Colleges has 856 guaranteed transfer an AS or AA degrees. So we call them transfer AAs or transfer AS degrees, and they're guaranteed to get you in. So those are that we have achieved that in 856. We are number one, DVC is number one in the state with the number of different associate degree transfers that you can get guaranteed to the state of the CSUs and to most of the UCs. The two UCs that don't guarantee anybody anything are Berkeley and UCLA. Yeah, but DVC still holds the highest transfer rate to the Haas Business School, to Berkeley. And I think we're second overall to Berkeley transfers for DVC. And then I think we are third to UC San Diego, Santa Barbara, Santa Cruz, I think we're second or third. So we have a large number of our students going to many of the UCs and CSUs. We're very proud of the rate. The one thing that we are looking into more is our workforce development. I met with a teacher this afternoon. He's a machinist. And he said, Vicki, Prop 13 took away a lot of money, and it took away a lot of our ROP programs for our schools. So the machine shops, the wood shops, automotive shops, those classes went away at the high school. And yet here, I have this course at DVC, 2 years for your students, and they can get out and make $100,000 a year. And he says, and I can't fill those classes with students because nobody understands what I'm teaching. So we just met right before this meeting today to try and brainstorm ways to get that information out to parents. Because for those who are interested in hands-on work, creating something, these are parts, these are machine parts that are in high demand by many of our manufacturers. And it takes 2 years, and you're out, and you're making $100,000 a year with benefits. So it's quite an opportunity. So I said, well, let me think on this. Let's do some more outreach, and we'll work on getting the word out. And I just did that, snuck that in there tonight. So.
Thank you, Vicki. Actually, I just read an article from Money Magazine, and they did some research on which certificate or degree give you a higher pay, and then they found quite a few certification program. You get that certification, you pay much better than those with bachelor, even master degrees. So it's very important. I think it's 8:45 now. And actually, yeah, 8:46. So I think we can stop here. Let's have a group picture, and then feel free to talk with those people or mingle together here. This is an opportunity for you to meet with different people and get to know new friends. Okay, thank you, everyone. Let's come to the front.
Sacramento